Okay. Right. So, hi everyone. This is FSL Season 3. I'm Daryl Hungry Lim. Alongside me, a newcaster, someone we haven't really worked together with all too much. I do believe that this is what your second season in FSL?
No, this is actually my first.
Oh, first season. Yeah. Okay, so we're pretty much the same. Although I feel like since I've been casting a bit more, I will try to take the lead this time. I'll try to make things a bit easier. For those of you unaware, FSL is the female Singapore League. They have the Dota edition and they have the League of Legends edition. Of course, today we are doing the League of Legends edition, as you can see on the still behind us. That being said, we do have two very interesting teams coming today. The first being Ikan, which is a Malaysian team composed of largely streamers, personalities in the Malaysian scene. And we do have the returning players from the previous season as well. I believe it is Team Cerberus G6 of the Cerberus brand. So both very storied teams, not their first time here. Hoping to see them come in with a bit of competitive spirit at least.
Yep, hoping to see some exciting action today. Hopefully, it should be quite exciting.
Yeah, it should be, right? And for those of you that are just, watching this and it looks pretty nice on stream, but we did have a bit of difficulty. I kind of appreciate community events like this, coming from a background that's, I've been working with Garena a lot, and then the previous year as well, going to places like Shanghai and China and Hong Kong, right? We have all these nice setups. Community events, I feel, is the heart of esports. It's where things begin, so it always feels like back to your roots, and that warms my heart. Like, regardless of event, that always warms my heart.
Well, for me, this is like my first, so this is the best setup I have technically.
Okay, sure. Without any further ado, guys, we will try to hop into game ASAP. Apologize for any starting issues that we may have encountered, but as things go along, we will definitely try to smooth it out. And this is, remember, we have a long day today. 11 o'clock was supposed to be our first game. We have a bunch of games going on all the way until 4 p.m, I believe. So the first half of the day will be me and Gerard. Following that, I think Jenny will be coming on in the afternoon. Yep. So do stick around, guys. Catch your favorite teams, your favorite players, support your friends, and overall just show the appreciation that the ladies deserve. They're probably practiced really hard. I saw a couple of them in the lobbies just going at the custom games, making sure they're all prepared, and this is the epitome of gaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun. Let's go.
I think we might be jumping the game soon. Hopefully we get a word from our organizers. Of course, there are a couple of issues to troubleshoot at the start. This being, like I mentioned, a bit more community based. You don't have the resources and the sort of opportunities that a 5-10 man team have, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like, yeah, I think like this kind of events are like really good because this is where you can see a lot of like people from different like backgrounds playing. It's not just like, it's not just pros. Like you can see like amateurs, just people like wanting to go and have fun with League and win some prizes maybe if they're lucky.
Yeah. Of course, like we said, FSL is also sort of like the built into the later stages. It's just like the penultimate event, right? FSL Elite. We're talking to the organizers, Tammy and some of the people that were helping out, setting up everything. At the end, we'll have teams from Philippines, from Thailand, competing together in what comes together in sort of like a Southeast Asian international tournament. As someone that came from GPL, that was casting a lot of the Garena tournaments, this is pretty much the female parallel to what we had in the past. So I think this is like the next step forward, right, for females in the league. A lot of people comment that gaming is a very male-dominated sport. So I think moving forward, this is like a right way to go.
Yeah, I mean, like it's the whole of Southeast Asia, like next to be like what, the whole world maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we do see a lot more females entering competitive esports in general, right? Just Overwatch League, there's that female player from the Shanghai Dragons. I can't remember off the top of my head what her name is because I'm not a big Overwatch fan, but definitely more prevalence now. It's more common. It's not so much like people commenting a while back. So definitely good to see. Hopefully, like we mentioned, can jump to game soon. We are, let's preface some of the teams going down today. So I believe, like we mentioned, it's going to be Ikan going up against Cerberus G6. I did some research on the teams. Honestly, you would expect them to be a a bit more one-dimensional, but actually their drafts look very standard to what I see from a lot of the other leagues overseas, right? You know, they play a lot of meta champions, nothing really too off flavor. There are the occasional pocket picks, but nevertheless, I think we should expect to see the quality of games that is very normal for the Singaporean Malaysian scene, right? Even back in the day, the Challenger circuit or whatever you whatever have you, right? These are the games that like the quality should be there.
Yeah, but you know, you spoke about the pocket picks. Maybe we'll see some of those, and we'll see some games getting spiced up as well.
Of course, maybe, you know, for our new viewers or for people that just who is Gerard, right? I kind of want to, because you're new to sort of casting, and this is the first time I casted with you. You know, I've been working with like people like Brandon, Jenny, and all the other older casters for so long, right? Seeing a new face is always good to me. I like that we have more casters nowadays. So maybe give an introduction to the crowd of who you are, maybe a bit of your background.
Sure. So I'm Gerard. I have played League of Legends for quite a while, like since season 2, but I've never actually really gotten good at it, so that's fine.
You never want to tell the stream that, because like multiple times I've gotten like, oh, so what rank are you, bro?
Oh,
and like,
okay. All right.
like high plat. Oops,
okay.
You know.
Pretend. No, you never heard that. Then, I mean, I've been like playing League for quite a while, and casting has always interested me since I watched like the season 2 World Championship.
Right,
like,
TPA.
Yeah, like that. Like before that, I was just playing League of Legends because my friends like from secondary school like dragging me along, like just play.
Right.
And I'm like, oh okay. And then when I watched that, I was like, oh, actually League of Legends is quite interesting.
Yeah. Of course, I think a lot of us in the region, our interest started when we saw TPA, you know, take the championship.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know, there's a lot to be gained from playing League. You know, everyone could possibly the next sort of TPA could be a next toys, right? And then it really helped as well when the GPL started taking off. We had teams like Singapore Sentinels, the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Of course, a lot of them having been diminished in the recent years, you know, swapping the format over back to the C Tour. That's a whole other story for a whole another podcast.
Yeah.
Right now we are focused on the FSL, so hopefully we can jump into the game. Along the lines of being a fan of the game, right? As a play-by-play caster, what are your hype moments? What do you like to watch out for in these games?
I mean, the huge team fights, those amazing ultimates, like I don't know, like a huge Orianna shockwave or something.
Oh yeah,
even though we don't really see that.
the 3000 elo
yeah,
shockwaves,
3000
right?
elo shockwaves from way back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things, and you just go like, whoa, like, and then you see everyone just fighting, and then and then it's just action all over the place.
Then you're in for a bit of fun, because this is, you know, without any offense, from something I realized casting the games here in this region, we have the most bloodthirsty like matches ever. Even earlier in the year, or rather I should say last year, 2019, right?
Yeah.
Mid to late 2018, we had the Hyperplay tournament in Singapore.
Oh yeah.
And we had like some of the overseas casters, like Kobe, I think Pastry Time was over, and then, you know, our resident Angmo, Matthew Fish Stewart was here as well. And like when I was talking to a couple of them, you know, they said the games were actually quite fast paced and very bloodthirsty. It's not as restrained as, you know, the other regions like Korea, similar to China, where they're, you know, very skirmish heavy. So we by any account, if we follow that, the games today should be very skirmish heavy as well.
I'm looking forward to that then.
Gotta rest your voice, keep a lot of water handy, some chlorets, you know, the mints. Make sure everything's on standby to make your voice is all right.
Got my unlimited supply of water here, so I'm ready to go for today.
Yeah, and should be jumping into game very soon. All our players in the lobby right now, I can just see them lining up, and their ranks are actually pretty solid. The top laner right now, Diamond 4, honestly higher than me at this point. I'm like mid plat, high plat. I haven't been Diamond for a while. I haven't played a lot either, so yeah, a lot of respectable ranks. You know, the meme is like, I think females draw a lot of flack because they often people often say, oh, you always play support and that's how you get carried, but a lot of them play main roles as well, and excelling in those roles is going to be very key, I think, in top as well as mid lane, considering the meta has been so focused along those two particular solo lanes now.
I mean, if one of them is able to like just snowball, they can carry the entire team to victory. Who knows? Just about to get into games soon.
Yeah, I kind of want to draw some comparisons to. So we had 2 major tournaments in the past 2 weeks. There was Casper Cup, which ended on New Year's Eve, and there was the Demacia Cup, which was slightly before that. They ended around Christmas-ish. And when you think about how the meta sort of stacks up, right? The Casper Cup, we saw a lot of focus. Of course, they were on 2 different patches. Casper Cup, we saw a lot of focus on the mid lane and top lane picks, like I said. The Demacia Cup, we saw a lot more focus on the jungle and AD carry. So moving in, this is the same patch as the Casper Cup. I want to see heavier priorities on the mid and top side of the map in terms of draft as well as execution. So a lot of champions that will be high priority coming in. I think Cassiopeia is one of them. Can be flexed to the AD carry role as well. Aatrox, definitely a heavy favorite for mid and top. Sion and Urgot, one of those, bruises that can be flexed around and gives you a lot more leeway to make mistakes considering they're so tanky.
Yeah, I mean, just Aatrox itself, it's just infuriating to play against. Honestly, I don't know how people do it. I personally have stopped playing top lane for fear of Aatrox.
Alright, so tricky matchup to get around, but hopefully when we do get into game later on, we can see how the players stack up. Guys, we're going to go for a short break. I'm going to get a sip of water. We're going to work out some of the issues with the admin and technical side, but we will be right back, so don't go anywhere. 2 minutes. Promise it won't take any longer. Quickly, remember this is patch 8.24b, so priority on Camille and Galio. Not too surprised there. We were talking about how since this is the same patch as the Casper Cup, and Galio was one of the highest contested picks in the Casper Cup as well, with a 90.7 pick percentage and a very high win rate as well, hovering around 53, which is, most champions you see 50 is pretty bad, but above that stat line is good.
I mean, Galio's been banned out, so they don't need to worry about that one. Kindred as well. Kindred, I believe, is one of the jungler, one of their priority picks from the other side. Yeah,
of course. It's Tigers, I guess jungler of choice, that and Kane, right? So we were talking and doing some research, and those are the 2 junglers that the Cerberus side wants to pick for themselves, but will be removed from the pool. The Thresh being banned out by Ikan as well. So really a heavy focus on the comfort picks from the Cerberus. Targeting out the comfort picks for Cerberus is the name of the game here for Ikan.
Yep, and for Cerberus, they've banned out the Camille and the Xayah. I believe Xayah was played by 150, also quite a lot, and picking up banning the Leona as well, which was one of the priority picks for the sport.
So, based on our research, we can say off the bat, game 1, both teams are aiming to remove what the opposition, what the oppositions are comfortable with. Just tripping on my words a bit, but removing what the opposition is comfortable with and picking what they are comfortable with themselves, right? So the Urgot locked in for Melanie, no surprise there. We were expecting that. The Malzahar is an interesting pick because we don't see Malzahar all too much in this patch. He's seen a couple of number changes and tweaks, and the overall power is still present. When you look at Malzahar, what you want is the ability to shove the wave very quickly and roam off to the side and impact your side lanes, right? So if Sion can get that down for herself, it should be a very simple matter of securing the wave priority and then impacting the jungle or the bot lane.
Well, we see Ilaoi is picked up as well. Sejuani, tank Sejuani. I mean, you talked about Camille and Lee Sin just now, you're telling me, but now we see Sejuani. It's something completely different. What do you think?
Sejuani has sort of fallen off after Worlds because they nerfed her numbers a little bit. We saw her resurgence in the Casper Cup, actually. I always call back to the Casper Cup because the Koreans have traditionally been known for the ones that have solved the meta, right? That's the region that's always solved the meta. Griffin, the jungler Tarzan, played Sejuani against Genji in the best of 5 finals, and the reason that worked so well was because the Sejuani served as the frontline tank against a poke composition. So Genji were running Zoe, Ezreal, poke. The Sejuani stood in the front line and soaked up majority of the poke to allow the team to push forward with that front line. So I hope that Cerberus doesn't fall into the same mistake that Genji did, and if they can draft a skirmish heavy composition or a dive comp, it will work against the Sejuani, but not so much a poke, because then that gives the key over to Ikan to do whatever they want and work around the composition.
Well, it doesn't really look like they have a poke composition right now. They've gone into the second banning phase, also picking up the Kane and the Varus on the side of Ikan Manis. Bans as well, Morgana being banned, getting rid of the utility of that Black Shield for the support.
It's surprising. It's surprising to see so many supports being banned out. Now we're in 4 for 4 now, I believe, in terms of support bans, and it's actually quite indicative of how the teams want to play, because when you ban out the supports, you're saying that you want to reduce the playmaking and utility of the opposition, right?
Yep.
So when you remove the Morgana, the Alistair, you're saying, well, I don't want you to keep your team safe. I don't want you to make any plays. We're gonna dictate the game, and you're gonna play our style, and it further transcends into the pick ban phase of the team specifically, because when we remove the options to keep your team safe, to remove the utility, you force them to play how you want, and they're drafting very different compositions at this point in time.
Yep. And the last ban is Janna. Really, a lot of these support bans on both sides. That's
actually like the whole second ban phase.
Yeah,
being
exactly.
dedicated to support. So quite surprised there, but at the same time, like I mentioned, the train of thought is pretty legit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, they do end up picking up Tariq as a utility support. One of the last few, I believe.
And the Tariq facilitates the dive composition that they want to play around. So in this case, you have Ilawi looking to come in with a flank in these big team fights. You combo that with the Tariq ultimate, which grants invulnerability, right, for a couple of seconds, and that allows you access into the backline. You're not worried about dying when you want to stand and deliver your damage. So I could see where they're going here. Cerberus G6 has the makings of a very good draft. They're saving the last pick for AD carry. With Kai'Sa open, I won't be surprised if they pick that up for themselves. UwU here for the Ikan Manis squad does seem to say that we want to peel off and keep our backline safe, and try to have the Varus as the prime turret in dealing damage.
Yeah, and they pick up their Ari as the last pick. So what do you think overall of their entire composition?
I didn't really like the RE to round out the composition. I would have preferred something like an Orianna to provide further utility as well as control in these fights, because if you're going up against the dive composition, you have two very big beefy frontliners in the form of Urgot and Sejuani. You peel back, you fight front to back, and then have the ball from the Orianna function as a threat, so they can't push forward. If they all walk forward, they get caught by the ball, the command shockwave, right? So the RE here is a bit of a mismatch. I think Ikan Manis could have done better in that regard in terms of drafting. Going for the Caitlyn here functions similarly to the Kai'Sa. You have someone that is very strong push heavy early on, but what you lose in just jumping back. But what you lose in team fighting you make up with in just very strong laning phase. So
Caitlyn just dominating with with the laning phase. Her range, that's just infuriating to play against.
Yeah, and we saw a couple of variations of the Caitlyn runes. So if you think about the preseason patch changes, runes and masteries in the past granted stats based on the path you took. Now they grant just the rune abilities themselves, and you get stat shards, right, to reinforce whatever path you want to go with. Because of that, we saw new things like Aftershock mid laners who could still get AP, who could still get damage. We saw AD carries like Caitlyn going for Grasp of the Undying for better and more effective trades in lane while still retaining the damage capabilities that was not granted in the past but still is granted now. So it opens up so many more paths now that teams are more flexible in how they draft. And in the same vein, I think picking up things like Caitlyn, traditionally a uncommon pick, is more viable now.
Yeah, I mean, I think like with the turret plating as well, she can push really fast with that headshot damage on the turret and get that early gold, get that early tower, and then free up the lane so that she can move around.
And I like that you brought up the idea of turret plating, because a lot of pros in the scene, overseas and local, were talking about how turret plating has actually increased the snowball potential of games, because you just use this cycle of pushing up, taking one plate, and then backing off, basing, getting a good recall timing with the bonus goal, and then once it hits 15 minutes, turrets just essentially become paper, right? You can take them very quickly with like a 3-man, your jungle rotates down, you take it for free. And with the gold advantage, with the opened side of the map, you then reinforce that lead further. You put a winning lane or someone with lane priority there, and then you kind of always win that 1v1, whereas your AD carry and support rotates to mid and then just rinse and repeat. So I think turret plating has contributed a lot to snowballing, and in skirmish heavy games, snowballing is even more present. So it might be an indication of a game that, you know, swings very quickly, very fast.
Yep, we might see some early action, getting turret plating, and that means that the game's gonna be pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm gonna just say, you know, be careful, don't be too excited because you might just lose your voice by the second game. So you gotta pace yourself, man. Advice from someone's been doing this for a while.
Sounds like
not to sound like an old man, but yeah. Back into picks and bans, we do see the same things. I do believe one of the players accidentally clicked the wrong button and exited the lobby by accident.
It happens sometimes.
It happens sometimes. Oh, I should tell you, there was this story about like when I was in like my first year in GPL, right? And I was like not a caster back then. I was still like an observer, and then it was like the grand finals of GPL, and I think it was TPA versus TPS, Taipei Assassins versus their sister team Taipei Snipers, and they were like all so hyped. We go in the game. And then we go into picks and bans, and then someone leaves, and we're like, wait, why? And then we realize it's not draft, they put all pick, and then we're like, oh no, I mean, not for the finals.
These kinds of things really happen.
And then we're just like raging on stream, but like, I mean, the observers or the viewers don't know this, but we saw it was like, oh god, it's like a facepalm moment, like, why do you guys pick all pick? So bad.
I mean, I guess they make these kind of mistakes so they don't make like actual mistakes in game.
Exactly, you see. Technical issues are common, so even at the highest level, you know, the finals of GPL happens, so for it to happen occasionally, I think can be forgiven.
Yeah, and we're looking like you're about to go back into the game. Hopefully no one leaves this time.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Or pick something wrong, right? It'll be like another issue.
Oh boy.
Okay, great.
Yep.
They've locked it in, and this should pretty much be the drafts confirmed from both teams. Of course, we are on the live server, so we should be expecting a 3-minute delay coming in, which gives us plenty of time to talk about the compositions.
Yep, I mean, looking at the summoner spells, we can see Malzahar has teleport while Ari has the ignite. So he's going to be able to make some moves around other lanes, right?
The idea of taking the teleport is you want to get a good back timing compared to the Ari, so you stabilize the lane with an item advantage if you can find the window. Otherwise, it's pretty much to just push 24/7 and teleport back in. You don't want to fight 1v1 against the Ari, even post level 6, because she has the support of the Malzahar, whereas you have Kayn. Kayn is someone I think, as a jungler, he's a great duelist and he's great at finding interesting paths coming in, but he doesn't impact the lanes as well as a Sejuani, who in this case has very good on-demand CC.
Sejuani just gonna be able to throw the ultimate, lock down Malzahar, charm, he's in love, and then he's dead.
So have to be very careful. The mid lane might be the heavy focus here coming in from the Ikan side, whereas I think the strengths of Cerberus here is the bot lane. The Caitlyn Tarek is a very bad bully lane, because the Caitlyn, in terms of item disparities, right, your first back timing you'll get a BF sword, whereas the Varus for the most part traditionally goes for the Guinsoo's. We haven't seen Varus in quite a while, right? But in the back then in Worlds, you always go for the Guinsoo's first. BF sword versus a pickaxe or even the bow is a very, very bad matchup to play into, because you're losing damage on every auto attack, you're losing damage on skill shots, and in that regard, if the Tarek lands a stun, you know, there's plenty of sustain that lane. They can poke you out and out trade you and keep the pressure down. That's how they're going to keep the rotations up to get very quick turret platings and then rotate over to the rest of the map.
Yeah, Caitlyn's a very oppressive lane, along with that turret, even with the ultimate to save themselves from anything that could happen. Now they do have the Lulu on the side of the Varus also, so that could be pretty good late game. Yeah,
of course, the threat of late game is very real for Ikan because they have these two giant meat shields that, like I mentioned, the front line. It's very hard to push past the Urgot and Sejuani. Like, you want to dive them, sure, but they're going to make your life really hard if you want to get to the back line. And even if you do get access to the Varus, Lulu has Wild Growth, she has Polymorph, so many effective tools for peeling the opposition off that it makes it very tough for Cerberus G6 to even get access to the backline, I think.
Yeah, I think that's their plan for the late game for Ikan Manis, for Cerberus. I guess they just want to push as much as they can.
Yeah, of course, this is a composition that excels in a mid game if they can claim multiple objectives and be more aggressive early on. Kane versus Sejuani, if you take a look at the jungle pathing, which I'll go into in game, the Sejuani has to path very defensively, have to be very careful with how she routes because she doesn't want to run into Kane. Whereas for the Kane, he's someone that can go in and take your camps and exit without a lot of danger. We'll see that probably happen a lot this game. Tiger should be going and stealing raptor camps, stealing like the wolves, and just exiting without being spotted.
Well, that means that there's gonna be quite a lot of priority, I guess, for Cerberus. With their Kane pushing in, constantly taking away camps with the Sejuani. She's not gonna hit 6 very fast, so maybe they have a small window to get some.
The important part here is that as long as the Malzahar, right, can keep the push up and reinforce the invades coming from the Kane, they should be fine. But otherwise, it'll be very tricky if the Ari arrives to sort of stop the counter jungling action.
Yep, we might see some early skirmishes in the jungle, maybe some 2v2 fights. Who knows? It might even call down like all 5 members and have a huge.
Oh man. If there was like an Ezreal with teleport, yeah, we could see like even like I remember Genji ran like the teleport Ezreal with the spellbook Tahm Kench, right? So every fight in the jungle, they'd be like, oh, guess what? I'm sending all 4 of them down. And you're gonna have to fight us as 5, and like nope, you can't contest any objectives like that, right? But in this game, we don't have like the spam teleports, so we should be fine. In fact, it is an ignite on the side of both supports, so aggression seems to be the name of the game.
Indeed, aggression. I mean, let's just take a look at some of the skins. Look at that Taric splash art.
I mean, pool party Taric, I personally preferred the old Taric, where like, you know, it was kind of janky, his feet look like pizza, like the old school Taric.
Yeah, man.
But that's just me, man. You know, I was playing the time where Taric Graves was the best bot lane. Like, you hit the stun, you shatter, and then buckshot to the face, and it's like, oh, that's a kill, I guess, you know.
Back when Graves was an 80 carry.
Exactly. So, you ask me about Taric now, I'll be like, you know, old man hate. I'm curmudgeonly that way.
Yeah, I mean, Armor of the 5th Age Taric is the best skin.
Yeah, exactly. See? You know, man, you know. You just know. Right, loading into Rift. We see pings coming down very aggressively early on. It might be a 5-man stack on the top. Tribush coming in. I say that, it's an even spread from both teams. A bit of a delay out of the base from Melanie. The Urgot caught shopping a bit.
Yeah, just taking a look, you know, deciding between, I don't know, Dawnblade and something else.
Yeah, I think while you were talking about that, I think Corrupting Potion would have been the better option because there's a mechanic with Ilawi where if she gets, you know, the spirit on you, and the right course of action isn't to run away. The right course of action is to deal damage to her, so the duration of the spirit goes down, and a very quick and effective way to get that is to use Corrupting Potion because it ticks by the half second.
I had no idea actually. Thank you for telling me this.
So you pop Corrupting Potion, you auto her once, right? And then like the duration of the spirit just goes down to half. And because it's Urgot, you can get multiple ticks very quickly, and as I say that, Urgot's gonna get caught out in the jungle or in the river.
Yep, just given that Malefic Visions, taking a little bit of health, isn't able to push the Ghost Poro out of the bush yet, but he puts a ward down and it looks like he pushes it out in the end.
I like that both teams have a read on this. It's very important to put early vision now in the river because you want to spot out the Scuttle Crab. This is something that every competitive player should know how to abuse. 110, 120 ward in the Pixel Brush in the river is going to give you vision of the opponent's jungling path. So like I say, Kane starts here, takes the Raptors, moves over to Rid, and then probably the Golems after. The top side of the map should belong to him, whereas I think the Sejuani has pathed a bit too greedily here. She should have gone down to the Golems to get a very quick level 3 with the bottom side Scuttle Crab.
She chooses to take the Wraiths out. Ooh, I mean the birds.
Yeah,
the
Raptors.
Stuck in all season, and she does not choose to take the Golems, walking over to her top side, which should probably get her blue buff, and then maybe look for a gank.
Yeah, so right here, there's a small misplay coming in. The Kane, if he did the Golems really quick, he could have walked over, invaded, and then pressured out the Sejuani, because with ability to walk through walls, the Shadow Step through the walls, right? He can approach from these very tricky angles that forces the Sejuani to play defensively, but instead both junglers not recognizing their strengths here. A bit of a mistake, I think, coming in.
Yep, just going for their buffs. Sejuani going to take the top side Scuttle Crab. Will probably hit level 3 of this, or will she hit level 3?
She will if the Kayn has effective, or rather a high enough of experience. So the way this works is that if you're hit, there's catch-up experience, right? But since he hit 3, she will hit 3.
Alright. So now both junglers level 3 taking the Scuttle Crabs on both sides. Sejuani moving back over to her own jungle to take the wolves. Kayn's just gonna slowly take this one down. Yep, got it.
So I'm going to explain why both junglers had a very ineffective path right now. You could see that the Kayn, after taking everything, he's only left with 2 camps, and they're both on extreme sides of the map.
Yep.
He didn't do a full clear on either side, and that forces him to make a lane gank happen.
There might be a little bit of action here. Ari taking quite low, but Malzahar is cut off from Kayn. Looks like he's going to be able to walk out of this one. Both junglers showing up to mid lane.
Like I said, because they had no accessible jungle camps to take, they were forced into ganking that. At the same time, because they took the same routes, they ended up meeting in the mid lane together. Now the Kayn is Tiger here is going to default back to taking his golems, where same thing, Elverina is going to take her own Krugs as well.
Looks like they're really mirroring each other, so maybe they'll meet again in their second gank.
The difference here is that they are split across the map, so Kayn impacting the top side, really tough. They have no CC when it's Illaoi, Kayn versus an Urgot, right?
Yep, and you talked about the running away thing. Well, Urgot ran away.
Yeah, those are going to start hurting soon.
Yeah, and actually, looking at the health bars from the bot lane, I just realized that the Caitlyn's actually pretty low. Maybe she tanked quite a lot of the arrows from Varus.
Well, this lane is pushing, so it's going to be very tricky for the Sejuani to force this gank, unless she sneaks in through the brush. There's a very low possibility of that. Also, the wave management has been relatively decent from the Cerberus bot lane. They shoved up to the turret and they reset back, and now they do have a very strong freeze going down.
So they're just gonna pick up this bunch of minions. The Caitlyn's still taken pretty low. If somehow the gank works, she might just die.
I think she made a misplay there, clearing out the wave. She should have just froze it there, knowing that her jungler's on the top side, and they can get a permanent freeze, which forces the Sejuani over to break it for the bot lane. So I think a bit of a small misplay coming in here from Kyo and Kiru. Nevertheless, they've built the CS lead, and this is really what you want, right? You want to hit that point where you can base for the BF sword, come back and start abusing the item advantage.
Caitlyn, really, as we talked about just now, can just begin really demolishing towers once she has that BF sword, because you mentioned the price points as well. A bit of damage walking forward. Stun doesn't land, but that's some really aggressive plays from the Caitlyn. Just chooses to walk straight into the face of the Lulu, take a polymorph, and some damage as well. But the top side trades as well.
Has to be very careful here. The Fear Beyond Death is available, and
yeah, but the Urgot doesn't have enough mana for that one at the moment.
Yeah, you see, look at that trade. So every time that happens, right, you back off, it spawns the tentacles, and that helps the Illaoi push the lane. It helps the Illaoi apply pressure, and you can't trade when you're under effect of it. You're just going to walk up and take free damage, right? So that's why walking away is the bad choice. You want to kick it down with damage from the Corrupting Potion instead.
Well, Urgot choosing to stay, and another...
Man. That's going to be brutal.
Yeah, like even tanking extra damage. Look at this again.
Boom. Yeah. So thankfully she sidestepped it this time, but it's always going to be a threat, right? You'll be constantly on the lookout for these tentacles coming in from the side to try and slam you down.
Yeah, the God has managed to clear away the tentacles. But wait, did that just happen again?
Yep.
I think it did. That's just sad. Like, that's really sad. Look at how many tentacles he's tanked over the past.
And you can see the advantage manifest already in terms of CS, in terms of how aggressive the trades have been going in favor of Sheepy. She could just walk up, throw the spirits out and try to leash and keep the damage down that way. Bear in mind that this is a Kleptomancy Illaoi. It's not a combat summoner. It's not a combat rune, rather, right? There's no reason she should be winning these trades, but it's just that Melanie, I think, has been playing them a bit poorly, and as a result, Sheepy has taken a very large lead.
Yeah, 20 CS and gonna be able to push that wave into the turret, get the lead up even higher as they both back off and pick up their first items. There's the corrupting potion that you were talking about just now.
So a bit of a late pickup, but it's gonna help the lane a lot more.
Yep, as long as she doesn't run away, I guess. Kindle Gem as well. Ilawi with the additional phage.
Rushing the Black Cleaver here. It's going to be very, very useful once you hit that Black Cleaver, because then you're amplifying the damage of the Kayn and the Caitlyn as well when it comes to mid-game skirmishes. So the one item spike is really good here for the Cerberus squad.
Yep, the other lanes also making their backs. Malzahar lost chapter, the mana read that he's going to get from that. He's just really going to be able to push out.
Whereas not enough gold, Talkies, Ari went for the Blasting Wand instead. So mana, as we mentioned, might be an issue for her later on. We have to keep a close eye on whether the Sejuani donates the blue buff over.
Yep, and we'll have to keep a close eye on the Sejuani right now, because it looks like there might be a gank Kayn as well. Malzahar reading it, moving down just a little bit. I don't know if there's gonna be a fight. Sejuani's still really hanging around for a long time. Kayn is actually backing off. Tariq is walking into the bush. Is Sejuani gonna find the ultimate onto any one of them?
They don't want to go for this because the Lulu is still level 5, so it's gonna be very hard to force this. They're waiting for it to get level 6, then they can brute force it. We were wondering why they didn't pull the trigger even though they were so close, and really the level discrepancy was what disallowed them from moving forward aggressively. Having level 6 on the opposition, the Tariq could have just set up the immunity, walked off. It wouldn't have been a successful gank, and they would have burnt too many resources. Now look at the top side, the aggression coming in from Sheepy, knowing that the Sejuani is on the bottom side. This might be a solo kill coming in very quickly. 10 minutes in, shouldn't have happened, but it did, and that's the accumulation of the lead we were talking about. A massive misplay coming in from Melanie from the start, I think, not getting the corrupting push and now trickling down into accumulated solo kill.
Yeah, solo kill for the Alawi, as you mentioned, a non-combat summoner. This should not be happening. He's going to be able to get some type of thing. No, the Urgot teleporting back in, but still a huge win.
Yeah. So if you look at, games at this caliber, right, building the teleport advantage against the Urgot means that the bot lane of Ikan has to be more defensive, knowing that at any time Sheepy can just teleport down and force the gank. So they have to be very careful against Cleo and Kiru. The Caitlyn and Tariq now have an all-access pass to just push up and pressure out the opposition.
Yeah, that's really scary. And looking at even the level of difference between Sheepy and Melanie, I don't know. Sheepy might just be able to get a couple more solo kills if Melanie doesn't play this one properly.
Yeah, apologies as we are sorting out a bit of the overlay stuff, but yeah, we're back into game, so should be relatively issueless from now on. Saw teleport being expanded by the Malzahar into the mid lane, so the commitment of teleport advantages to the bot side is not going to be as present. It's only going to be 3 members instead of 4 now. As long as the RE can get the early roams down, I think there's some window for reply here.
Yep, some window for reply. Ari able to secure that lost chapter means that her mana problems will mostly be solved. Maybe might be able to, just clear out the waves.
She got a blue buff as well, jeez.
Oh, yeah, wow.
That is like a mid laner's dream.
Indeed. And it doesn't really happen very often nowadays.
Oh, the junglers are like, nope, you only get the 3rd blue, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, being a bit later myself, I just miss the days when you would just get like the 2nd blue and then you just be able to constantly spam your spells, push the wave in.
Yeah, remember what Fakers is. Mid lane is, or rather blue buff belongs to mid lane. We just give it to the jungler for the first clear. Right? We lend it to you because you need to clear a jungle.
Yeah, when we look again at Sheepy just planting more and more tentacles around. Just gonna push in, maybe get some turret plating. There's like 2 more minutes on that, I believe. So we might see some aggressive pushing.
The problem here also is that you can't send the Sejuani up to combat this disadvantage because Alawi is notably very famous for being able to 1v2.
Yeah.
And when you have a composition, or rather a duo that use very little damage up front, you need a lot of burst to deal with the Alawi, right? And Sejuani Urgot is not one of those combinations.
Yeah, they might need to call up the Ari as well.
And then you end up committing too much resources for a return kill, which really barely nets you any sort of leeway in this 1v1. So now that they have the Alawi being so strong, the priority or the opposition's ability to match her is really non-existent now.
Yep, that's really where the biggest lead is coming from. Look at that, like 40 CS and the kill. Black Cleaver already completed. That's that one item power spike you're talking about. Maybe they can find a fight. The teleport is still available. Who knows?
So interesting adaptation here. We see 150 on the Varus going for a early build path into Blade of the Rain King. I like the adaptation coming in from her because the Guinsus means, like I mentioned, you have a poor... Oh, might be going for the fight here.
Suppress. Is the King going to be able to catch up in time? No. The Spirit Rush. Still 2 more charges available. So if the Sejuani wants to find her way in, she might be able to.
Be careful though, she does have the Ignite, so nope, Spirit Rush charges go on cooldown, so she's not going to be using that. I thought there was a window for her to go in for the solo kill. Oh, careful though, she does have the flash.
Flash and flash traded as well. Flash charm. Flashed away by the Malzahar. It looks like they're just going to back off.
Something that you could do with the Ahri in the mid lane is animation cancel the charm with the flash. So you cast charm first and then you flash forward and it launches from the end location of your flash to remove any delay. In this case, she did the reverse, and that was why it was so well predicted and well read by Cyan to keep herself safe. So all credit, both players doing what they... I think execution from Cyan was definitely better here.
Yeah, able to read the charm, the flash charm, I mean, not the charm flash in. Flash away from that one. And we look at the top lane again. More tentacles. Now with the Black Cleaver armor reduction. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, it's definitely a big issue here. With the turret plating going down, most of the lead that you could have gone from the bonus goal has been removed. We're transitioning to the phase of the game where turret dives will become the name of the game because it's so easy to sort of take them down if you can group 3 or 4 members around their objective.
Yeah, and Sejuani looking around bot side. The Tribush does not have... Cerberus doesn't have any wards there. So they had no idea that happened, and Sejuani's still hanging around, just taking away her Krugs. Kane looking around the mid lane. Spirit Rush is going to be available in a few seconds, so that's going to be quite hard to gank.
I want to talk about how he, or rather she in this case, went for the Dark Harvest. And Kane normally is a champion who lives and dies by the burst damage, so most players that play Kane tend to opt for the Electrocute. In this case, the Dark Harvest has seen a significant amount of nerfs in the past, so not the ideal choice, I think, coming in for this game. But nevertheless, Tiger's still trying to make these ganks happen, trying to proc the stacks on these fights.
Yep, and it looks like it might just be a 3v3. Maybe even more Aries moving down. Shades of Corruption landing onto the Caitlyn, but there's not really... Ooh, lands the Sejuani ultimate, and the Caitlyn is not in the invulnerability. If they can take her down... 150 CM, very high up ahead. Toki coming in, picking up the first kill. 150 CM, will he live by the Ignite? Double kill? No, he does go down to the Malzahar. And that looks like it's a 2-for-1.
Overall, pretty decent trade considering that Sheepy got the solo kill once more on the top side. So, great moves coming in by the Ikamana squad, but replied in kind by Sheepy's efforts in the top side of the map. And like we said, this is what... happens after the turret plating goes down at the 14-minute mark. A 3-man group around for these massive fights to translate into objective becomes the name of the game. I'm not sure if they can get this considering the wave has been relatively well cleared early on, but on the second rotation it should make very quick work of the structure.
Yep, but Sheepy taking quite a lot of damage on the turret at the top side as well. Looks like it was pretty even in terms of the damage. Maybe a little... Oh, okay, hold that thought. Malzahar...
It's Malzahar, man.
Yeah,
you should expect the push coming in. So, failing to get the bot one, a return comes in, and that's going to be solo turret goal for Science. Malzahar 450 in the pockets of the mid laner. He has a decent bounty to... she has a decent bounty to her name, so the next item of choice should honestly be the Morale Nomicon, I think. You want that spike in power to increase your mid-game skirmish potential, You look at the win conditions of these teams, we saw that fight. They tried to dive into the backline, didn't go well.
Yeah.
Chains of Corruption into Wild Growth into the Arctic Assault knock-up from the Sejuani. Makes it so difficult to get into the backline. Whereas options of them picking up single members that were strays with the Malzahar out makes it so much better.
Yeah, and they managed to get the Ocean Dragon at the very least. That's even more regen for the Malzahar and for the Illaoi to just push in. Just E after E landing. It's just like, look at that CS lead. It's still huge, and now with 2 kills, not just 1 to a name.
There's 2 minutes left on the Rift Herald. I'm surprised that neither team has opted to turn their attention towards it. When we saw the teams playing the Casper Cup, whenever the Rift Herald spawned, there would be immediate priority translated over to the top side. Showing the difference here, though, might be the key, because Rift Herald traditionally implies that you get a turret for free and then a further one if you can master your forces properly. In this case, they only have a 1.5-minute window left to even get it. And the team that does realize, this is a free objective for us, especially if you are Cerberus, because your top side is so strong, it should be free for them. They should be taking it.
Looks like they might try to find a gank on the top side for Ikan Manis and maybe get it, but looks like the Rift Herald's gonna go to waste on this one.
I mean, there is still a window for them to take it. The last 30 seconds, I think, if you put it into combat, it does delay the expiration timer. But seeing as all the vision has been centered on the bot side, they're giving me the impression, right, that they want to leave top alone, leave Sheepy on the island, and just fight on the bottom side and push the advantage there.
It looks like that's working because Sheepy's already picked up 2 solo kills, huge CS leads, generally just destroying Melanie, really. So I think that strategy would work.
Ping's going down. They do see the Illaoi moving over, and looks like they are setting up for, or at least putting some priority around this Illaoi, like you mentioned.
Rift Herald's gonna get eaten up by Baron Nashor, a very tasty meal. But, well, teams could have used it. It's okay, just give it over to Baron. But Sheepy's pushing in. Might be able to get this turret down or take it just really, really low. The rest of the other members, as you mentioned, how they left Sheepy on an island, they're all at bot lane, but there's nothing there at the moment.
Okay, so the items here, let's take stock. We talk about the mid-game phase. This is where your first core, second core item comes in. If you're really fed, right, your second core item comes in. The Sejuani rushing the Gargoyle Stone Plate, hesitating to finish off her first jungle upgrade is a sign that they want to really take these massive team fights. I'm not sure it's the best course of action because it's one of those items that scale better when you have base stats already. It gives you bonus health and bonus resistance, but when you don't have that in place, the effectiveness is diminished quite heavily. So that's something I want to see. Someone might have to run the numbers and see if that's still an effective buy. I like the Black Cleaver coming in from the Urgot together with the Ninja Tab Eyes. Gives her a bit more
defensive stats.
Yeah, defensive stats and ability to deal with this Illaoi who was ahead. Of course, the CS lead is only going to grow and the lead is only going to be pushed by Sheepy, but
yeah, look at that gold, like 8,000 to not even 6,000.
It's 2.2. 2.3.
Yeah, 2.2. The Caitlyn as well. Generally, the gold advantage being quite heavy on the side of Cerberus.
Yeah.
Only the Ari with its very, very slight gold lead. And whoa, look at that damage. Just half on the Lulu.
This is what we're talking about in terms of first item spikes and back timings. The Storm Razor is always going to be infinitely stronger than the Blade of the Ruin King when it comes to laning.
Yep.
Every time you land an auto attack, the bonus damage and stats as well is just ridiculous to trade against. And with the sustain from the Tarek, it just makes it more oppressive, right?
Yep, and Sejuani here hanging around the bot side, but Ari is nowhere close. Might just be a 3v2. I don't know how they're going to be able to find this one.
So the reason the Sejuani is here is because they want to set up the safety for the bot lane, knowing that Q and Kiru can force very big fights now that Sheepy's teleport and Science teleport is up. It could be a very quick 4-on-4, right? So you want the Ari there to sort of serve as insurance, as a protector, just in case anything tricky happens. You can disengage with the ult and the wild growth from Lulu.
And just bringing it back to items for a short while, you mentioned the Morellonomicon, but looks like it's chosen to go for a Liandry's instead.
The Liandry's definitely better when it comes to dealing with the tanks, but I feel Morellonomicon is the item to go to when you want a very quick, very cheap power spike. Liandry's is definitely more stat efficient when it comes to dealing with tanks.
And that is what Ikan Manis has with the Urgot and the Sejuani, though the Urgot isn't exactly tanky yet, but in the late game, definitely.
Oh yeah, you gotta wait to the point where it's like 2 items, 3 items. The health bars, man, will start stacking up. Jorm's Fist, or rather, Jorm's Fist and Steroid Gauge will be the item of choice here for Sheepy, so definitely moving down the Bruiser build. This turret should be taken for free.
Yep.
Harsh Lesson into an auto attack will be...
Yep, there we go. That's one turret down. And Sheepy just really controlling this lane. Look at that, like, it's nearly 100 CS lead.
I'm not sure what the movement here from the Malzahar is. She moved over to take the ward when she should have been pushing mid lane to guarantee priority onto the dragon. You see the bot lane has this massive lead, right? The call should be from both mid and bot, push quickly because they can't do anything to repel our waves, and then go for the dragon and get their objectives. So both teams playing a very extended laning phase, which is not what I'm a fan of, especially when you do have this massive lead in one solo lane.
And Kane is around the top side, while Sejuani we've been looking at her like walk around the bot side constantly. And the bot lane starting the dragon, no, not starting the dragon, but the Varus choosing to take a shot at the kill instead of the dragon. Interesting.
Oh, now they aggro the dragon, forcing them away.
Yeah, when the dragon just flies around, realizes there's actually nothing there.
No one to attack, so you know what? Just back to chilling out.
Yep, but Kane again making moves around top side. Not exactly the priority that you were mentioning on the dragon, but he is starting to move down.
The thing is, when you're playing Kane, there are so many ways for you to be elusive and slippery that you should be spending more time in the jungle of your enemies, right? Trying to get vision, trying to get information for your team. You don't necessarily have to fight them. You just want to spot them out, check out where their camps are clear and aren't, to provide information for your team to play around with. In this case, Tiger is playing a bit more defensively. Maybe it's, like jitters on stage that results in her being more safe. That's it. I think there's definitely room to play more aggressively for this Kane.
Yeah, and looking at that top lane, 3 items. Not 2, but 3. A GA.
Oh, holy.
That is...
She based and bought the Sterix and the GA in one shot.
That's crazy.
This is like solo queue Ilaoi. We're like, oh, well, she got 2 solo kills. I guess we can't fight her in team fights anymore. We're just going to sack the wave and try to find a 5v5. It's going to be a big fight on the bottom side. 2 kills picked up very quickly already by the Cerberus squad, and they're backing off, resetting the aggro and looking to get the turret for themselves.
Yep, both bot laners going down. I don't think Sejuani and Ari are going to be able to defend this one. 4 strong, and Sheepy even pushing the top side as well.
The orb coming in to clear the wave out is going to buy some time, but those Void Links from Malzahar are tanking this one up.
Yep,
a lot of damage, a charm straight in to the face.
Disrespect from the Kane. Tiger clearly not showing that, she cares about the damage of the Ari and a punish. But still, the tower going down.
A bit of miscommunication coming in, I think. They weren't expecting the aggro to swap over that quickly, and catching a charm to the face and an immediate execution by Taki. Small consolation for them, nevertheless still a big loss when it comes to the big picture, because they're 7,000 gold behind, losing a lot of turrets very quickly, bleeding out, and with this Ilaoi, it's just going to be a ever-growing problem.
Yeah, exactly. Every time we go to the top lane, you just see the Ilaoi pushing up against the Urgot, beating up that spirit, and even at the mid lane now, Malzahar really taking a lot of damage. The Ari tanking the Malefic Visions. Already lost so much health. Forced to recall, and looking again at the top. I don't even know if Sejuani can do anything about this one.
They really shouldn't go in on this because she has the GA. This might be a 2v1.
Yeah, but look at the amount of tentacles that exist.
Sheepy's like, you wanna fight me? You gotta walk in, man.
Yeah, like, the Sejuani just looks at the level difference. It's just like, okay. I'd rather not take this one.
Yo, it's like, 3 level difference. This is for all intents and purposes, a bad idea. They should just stick to trying to make plays happen in the mid and bot side. But I think that window has long gone. It's more or less now you want to find picks with the Ari. You want to do what Taki did earlier, try to hit a charm and then blow someone up. Maybe translate that into a man advantage, because big fights and split lanes are not going to be your cup of tea.
Yeah, I want to talk about something as well. It's nearly 30 minutes in game and the Kane still hasn't picked a form yet. So that's not going to play very well.
That comes from the, as I mentioned earlier, the very defensive style of play that Tiger has been exhibiting. Instead of going and fighting and skirmishing against the Sejuani, who honestly shouldn't be able to fight back, right?
Yep. Ooh.
Flash. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, instead of playing this skirmish heavy, go in and invade, fight the enemy jungler style, she went in for a safe clear and stayed healthy, tried to make things happen, but failed to do so. Some feedback I think I have is just play more aggressively, and failing to do so just means you'll fall further behind on this Kane.
Yeah, and like 2 level difference between the Sejuani and the Kane, just moved up to 1, but Sejuani still with the advantage. One of the members on the side of Ikan Manis who actually has that. The other one, I think, is the Ari with the 3 kills as well. So they're probably going to try to find, that fight. And on the other side, Cerberus is taking away the second Ocean Dragon. Just even more mana for the Malzahar.
Now, it should be noted that the siege is really, really strong from Cerberus, because they have that 650 range Caitlyn and they have the Malzahar, which is very non-interactive wave clear, plus the Voidlings to help you tank it up. So they don't have to set up these waves all too much, and especially in the newer patches, the minions push very quickly. You can punish out of place members with your composition by pushing and taking towers very quickly. So Cerberus could find a win that way as well by taking down structures, setting up impromptu, and then just push one wave in, reinforce that with the Voidlings and the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and we saw that at the bottom side when they took the turret, using the Voidlings to get that little bit of damage that was needed to take the turret. I mean, they still lost the Kane, but the Voidlings definitely helped out a lot. Sheepy just moving back over to the top side. It's probably going to continue oppressing that Urgot, and another blue buff going over to Toki, who's now level 16. That's the level 3 ultimate, really short cooldown, right? So she's going to be able to find... Maybe she might be able to find the Caitlyn before the Taric ultimate is able to go off.
Take a look at the Varus build. One thing I want to point out, why we've seen heavy reduction in Varus being played competitively is that Guinsoo's got nerfed, and overall the build path isn't as smooth as the previous patches. So you don't see the hybrid sort of style of Varus as quickly as effectively as before, right?
Whoa!
Big damage there coming in.
Whoa! That is just like underestimating the damage of Malzahar. Just walking away with slightly less than 400 health.
That's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
That is no fun.
Exactly, and the silence making it even worse because you can't shield or use the wild growth for quite a while.
Pushing in Sheepy, just getting chip damage down to CSD. It's about 140 now, and up. There you go.
Ooh.
That's the pickup on the bottom side of the map. The Ari caught unawares trying to find a 1v1 solo kill, but not getting it whatsoever. That's tricky.
The Ari coming close, but not exactly close enough, and the fact that the Cerberus sent out so many members to the bot side means that Ikan Manis, okay, I thought they were going to take the turret, but they nearly did. Still a lot of damage onto the mid lane turret. I guess that's some recourse for them. Cade going for the red form, finally 30 minutes in game. Looking all cool.
There's the additional crowd control that possesses, so that's going to be very core in fights, but like I said, it's all but over, I think, for the Ikan Manis squad, because this Ilaoi is just going to be a huge problem. Their composition isn't utilized or rather picked to deal with this, right?
Yep. And now with the Mercury treads means that the tenacity is going to help even more against the CC, and if you don't stun lock the Ilaoi.
Next item, definitely Death Stance, and at that 4 item peak, right, there's really very little you can do. It's just a game of bleeding out and turtling and hoping the enemy makes a mistake. And when I cast with Granite, when we hit this point, right, we always refer to it as not a team's win conditions, but like your lose conditions. So when you look at the Cerberus lose conditions, it's, losing an AD carry and then Sheepy dying as well somehow. If you can hit a charm onto the Caitlyn and then translate that into the Baron, sure, maybe that's a loose condition for Cerberus. Otherwise, if they play
as per normal, right? They do what they're doing now. It should be a free win for them.
Yeah, look at that damage onto the Ari. Not going to be able to dive in with that amount of health. And just another turret taken down.
Yep.
Man, Melanie might just have some like Ilaoi trauma after this one.
It's a siege coming in, and I mean, if you're scouting your opponents at this point, you should be thinking, okay, what can I do to deal with this Ilaoi from Sheepy? Because
it's scary.
It's a really good game, good performance that she's put up in this first game of the FSL Season 3, and I'm honestly very, very impressed.
Yeah, 2 solo kills, the bounty at 1,000. And look at that, 3 members being forced up there, and that leaves the rest of Cerberus able to push down yet another turret.
Yep, the siege is, like I mentioned, extremely impactful here. You have the Caitlyn walking up every so often with the waves. You have the shield as well from the Tarek, so no real danger of getting collapsed on. Immediate flash forward into the suppression and a pickup.
Yeah, look at that, deleted. Just destroyed. Like, Kane could even get an assist on that one. Ari going down. That's one of the members on the side of Ikan Manis, which has a small lead. So
yeah, really the win condition for Ikan Manis, or rather like a way for them to get themselves back into the game, was to use the Ari to get a pick. But with the Ari down, call has been made from Cerberus. It's move over to Baron, create the trap, turn against them if we have to, because this is where we can very comfortably pick up the objective and close the game out. They've turned their sights towards the Baron. It's not going to be a trap, but the option to turn against the opposition is available if they want to.
But absolutely no vision. And if they go over to Baron, I mean, for Ikan Manis, Sheepy's just going to end the game. Already so much health on the inhibitor turret gone down, and it's a free Baron pretty much. Sejuani is trying to pick up the Ocean Dragon as a small amount of consolation. Yeah. Probably will be able to get this one.
Cerberus crossing the T's and dotting the I's, looking to close this game out comfortably without any mistakes. Look at all the bounties. They just speak volumes of how the game has gone for the Red team here. 1,000 gold bounty on the Ilaoi, and if you remember the changes to bounty, it's with every increasing amount of CS you have over your counterpart, your bounty goes up, right? So being at 1,000 just means that her gold value is so much higher than the Urgot that it pretty much recreates 5 kills.
Yeah, I mean, she's already on 4 items.
Ooh, that's 5k.
Whoa, yeah.
Oh boy.
It's really huge, the disadvantage. I mean, generally across the board we see huge disparities except for the jungler, but on the side of Ikan Manis, we really see the huge differences in the top as well as the support. Even Tarek with nearly double the amount of gold.
I mean, that's to be expected. I'm going to hold on to that because focus onto the Aatrox Tiger backing off has been locked up by the blue team.
Yeah,
now,
and jumping in. Is she going to be able to actually get the pick? No, just very nearly the Tarek ultimate secured. Killing spree, ace in the hole. Quite a lot of damage. Sejuani forced to limp away. But she steps on the trap. Oh, that is a mistake.
You went for the cupcake.
Flash on stun and wall. Look at that. Varus just goes down. Urgot going down as well. Looks like Ikan Manis, they're just falling. Lulu taking so much damage, and Malza has the stun without land, but the Malefic Vision. Oh my lord.
It's going to be a clear.
Yep, that's clean ace from the side of Cerberus, and they're probably going to take this game. Look at that.
Yeah, Taki though tried her best. That was like the last ditch effort. They tried really hard to make something happen before the game ended, and Sheepy ending it in style.
Yep, Sheepy didn't even use that ultimate during that team fight.
No leap of faith at all this game. Only time she had to use it was when they pretty much destroyed the Nexus. They're like, well, there's no point. Might as well just use it anyway. And with that, it's gonna be a very clean win coming in from Cerberus G6. From their performance, I think one of the top contenders here at FSL Season 3 League of Legends Edition. Guys, with that, it will be Game 1. I believe we should be transiting to a short break for a while while we set up the second game. Don't go anywhere. Of course, stay tuned to the stream. Like, subscribe. It's going to be a long day of games. So you always want to know when we're going back on air. We'll put out notifications and everything. But with that, guys, we will see you relatively soon.
Yep, see you shortly.